are you? What's your role? And who do you work for?
Hi there, my name is Will Stewart. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Northflank, a self-service developer platform.
What are 3 Kubernetes emerging tools that you are keeping an eye on?
So we use Kata containers quite heavily for nested virtualization for our secure multi-tenancy. We use a tool called Cloud Hypervisor. And we're big fans of the project, and it's fantastic. We're also big users of Cilium for our network security. We love the egress gateway support for Cilium. It allows us to provide egress gateways to our customers, and also Istio. So obviously Istio has been around for a long time, but they're sort of innovating with the ambient service mesh, which allows Northflank to solve the problem of the service mesh tax. A lot of our cluster resources are sort of dedicated to Istio sidecars, and we'd love to use a sidecarless service mesh to optimize cost.
One of our guests, Artem, shared that once you slice your Kubernetes clusters into a multi-tenant environment, you should consider multi-tenancy for every tool you install, such as logging, monitoring, scaling, etc. What's your advice on building Kubernetes platforms that are shared in the organization?
Multi-tenancy is the most important thing for a platform like Northflank. We have a multi-tenant model where people can self-serve and deploy untrusted code to the Northflank platform for our sort of sandbox environments. And we deliver that through Kata containers, Istio mesh, and Cilium. So ultimately, these are things every team is going to have to do. It's a very complex task, but you have to do it. 1, for security, and 2, for cost optimization. The multi-tenancy allows you to take a larger cluster and divide it into smaller pieces, almost like you're dividing a pizza. And that means you get economies of scale and you get to save money. But of course, it comes at the downside of larger overhead. But some of those tools I just mentioned allows you to deliver workloads securely inside those clusters. Or you can look at platforms like Northflank, which out of the box will allow you to deliver secure multi-tenancy inside your Kubernetes clusters.
Artem also shared that between a single cluster with multiple environments and dedicated clusters per environment, the latter is easier to manage for a small team. When you share a cluster with multiple teams, should you share a single cluster or offer a dedicated cluster per tenant? What does your choice depend on?
So at Northflank, we don't care. If teams want to use multiple clusters between multiple teams, they can do that, or they use one team, one cluster, or multi-model, like they could have multiple teams on a single cluster. To us, it doesn't matter. It's all based on the end user. Do they want cost or security, or do they have compliance reasons, or does one team need to deploy in AWS and one team needs to be in Azure, or one team needs to be in Europe and one needs to be in Singapore? So it's cost, regional requirements, and cloud provider requirements generally, and it's mostly driven by security. They don't want team A and team B using the same clusters, but then some of the tools I mentioned earlier can really reduce that sort of overhead. But we have 20,000 engineers deploying on a small number of Kubernetes clusters in our multi-tenant offering. So that's 20,000 engineers on a couple of clusters.
Another guest, Ori, shared that rushing into solutions without understanding the root cause can lead to fixing symptoms instead of the actual problem. He mentioned the case of network policies and how sometimes the root cause of a problem is a people problem, and the solution lies in addressing that. What is your experience with providing tooling and platforms on Kubernetes to other engineers? What are some of the soft challenges that you faced?
So initially, it's not an engineering challenge, it's a developer experience challenge. How do engineers onboard to the tool? Do they know what it does, how it works, how it integrates? How does it work between an application engineering team and the platform engineering team? Ultimately, the platform engineering team is delivering a product, a self-service product, to their own customer. Their customer is the application engineer, and the application engineer is delivering a product to the end customer of the business. So ultimately, the experience has to be in tandem, and ultimately the platform you're building needs to work for your engineers. Not your team, but your engineers, because they're the end user. And generally that experience is different if you're deploying databases, microservices, but of course that all has to be consistent. Teams want to use GitOps, they want to use a UI, they want to use Datadog, they want to use Grafana. It's all about taking all of these requirements for different software and tooling and vendors and integrating them into a consistent story, so that teams have a way to consistently deploy workloads with confidence.
Kubernetes is turning 10 years old this year. What should we expect in the next 10 years to come?
So I think Kubernetes has already won the argument. Mesos, Rancher, Kata, all these platforms came before, Nomad. Obviously, those platforms are being used less, but today Kubernetes is the default way to deploy. Managed Kubernetes has made that even more the case. So GKE, AKS, EKS, I think we'll see a lot more workloads moving from on-prem onto managed Kubernetes, but we'll also see a lot of workloads moving from public cloud onto bare metal again, and there'll be more ways to operate and securely and consistently deliver experiences on bare metal. So I think bare metal Kubernetes will see a resurgence, mainly for cost optimization, and then generally it will just be Kubernetes as GA, ready for business and simple to use. I think it's The developer experience is mainly focused on cluster lifecycle management, and in the next 10 years, most people will be focusing on the application delivery, which is the most important thing. And that's what we're doing at Northflank.
What's next for you?
What's next for Northflank is the ability to deliver a self-deployable control plane. A lot of the businesses at KubeCon today, you can't phone home. So sort of a single tenant, multi-tenant control plane is obviously a concern. So we're looking at working with more enterprises, larger organizations to fit their deployment models, whether that's on-prem, a hybrid multi-cloud, or deploying the control plane on their infrastructure. Mainly in the platform engineering space. We're a self-service developer platform, and as we move up the stack, we're working with more and more platform engineering teams in the build versus buy argument. And we don't necessarily see it as binary, as build versus buy. People are leveraging Northflank as an API to deliver their own platforms and deliver that self-service developer experience.
How can people get in touch with you?
We're available at northflank.com. I'm Northflank Will on Twitter /X, and my email is will@northflank.com. Very, very simple.